record, my lord. Yes, sir. Mr. Madlala. Indeed, your description of the second intruder in the house, the gentleman who you said had dreadlocks, accord with the description that this court also had from Mr. Mthokozisi Twala.
Incazelo yakho kanye umfanekiso ofana ngawo omayelana ke nalona owesibini wangena lapha nothi ube nelokhu njani ama dreadlocks. Was it the first or the second intruder?
My apologies, my lord. The first intruder who had dreadlocks.
Umthokozisi naye ke ophane ngaleyo incazelo enjalo kanye umfanekiso onjalo malana ke nalowo oqala obe nama dreadlocks. Ubufakazi bakho ngobufana ngaleyo incazelo ubufakazi ubufana nalobuka ngamanye amazwi umthokozisi naye ukhulume kanjalo ukuthi lo oqala ube nama dreadlocks i-description aphana ngayo.
In other
words, I hear you.
Thank you. And furthermore, your description of that very same suspect, who's the first intruder, is also according or accords with what Mr. Ms. Gladness Tumelo would come and tell this court about how the suspect was.
Kanti ke futhi le description yakho yaleyo suspect owenomsolwa iyafanana nale ezokhulunywa uye lona uGladness Tumelo ukuthi lo msolwa ube njani. I hear that as well.
Actually, this is what Gladness Tumelo would come and tell this court. I'm taking this from one of the statements that she had made.
Manje nakho lokho azokhuluma la enkantolo ngizothi nje oqapuna lokho akhulumele kulesi statement,
where she says the first one that was carrying a firearm had short dreadlocks that hang up to his neck.
La esho khona ke ukuthi lo oqala bephethe isibhamu ube nama dreadlocks ayefika la entanyeni. Yes, I hear that as well, advocate.
Does that accord with what you've just told this court?
Ngabe lokho kuvumelana nalokho okuthulela enkantolo wena?
Angazi mina bengikhuluma ngestatement sami ngazi ke zabanye angaze ngizifunde.
Well, I was merely presenting the content of my statement before this honorable court. As far as other statement is concerned, I did not read their statement.
I'm not trying to refer you to your statement or their statement. All that I'm saying is your description that you gave to this court about the first intruder who had dreadlocks accords with the description that was given to this court by Mthokozisi Twala and the description that Madlala, Ms. Gladness Tumelo would come and give this court.
Ngikushoyo nje ukuthi wena ke incazelo ophane ngayo ngesithombe ke esimayelana nommangalelwa okanye umsolwa wokuqala lo obe nama dreadlocks. Leyo ncazelo iyavumelana nobufakazi okanye incazelo emayelana ke nomfanekiso kalo umsolwa wokuqala ephanwe okanye ethulula enkantolo umthokozisi Twala kanye ke nalokho kuzokhulunywa uMamkhumalo uGladness Tumelo ilokho engikusho.
Ngiyakuzwa.
Yes, I hear you.
Thank you. You said from the questioning of on behalf of first and the second accused, yeah, that the item that you saw in the possession of this first suspect, that's now the person with dreadlocks, was a firearm, and it looked to you then it was a firearm that had a wheel. Not so?
Usho njalo ke mayelana ke nomsolwa wokuqala ukuthi lo muntu ombone ephethe isibhamu ubephethe isibhamu esasibuke ngazuthi sine sontshwana nje.
Yebo, ngiyakuzwa.
That is correct, yes, I hear you.
Thank you. Now, just be frank and honest with the court. Frank and honest with this court. Would that have been a revolver?
Akuthembakala nje la enkantolo. Ngabe mhlawumbe leso sibambe bekuyi-revolver.
Angiyazi revolve ukuthi isibhamu esinjalo.
I don't know what type of firearm is a revolver.
I know, Mr. Madlala, that's a cut and dry answer. But really, don't you know what a revolver is? Haven't you seen a revolver?
Ngempela i-revolver uyazi?
Mhlawumbe ngamtshela ngesiZulu, isingisi leso sikhulumayo.
That is English. Perhaps you can tell that to me in Zulu.
In Zulu, it is called ivolovolo.
Ivolovolo. Yeah, yes, sir.
Haven't you heard
Yes,
of the
that's
word
what I'm-
ivolovolo? Not to
Ivolovolo.
crash. I'm not talking crash. I'm talking ivolovolo.
Sikhuluma ngokuqasha. Sikhuluma ngemvolovolo.
Ngiyengilizwe lekamvolvo yes.
Yes, I would hear that word, imvolovolo.
Really, don't you know what a revolver look like?
Ngempela wazi ukuthi imvolovolo ibuye kanjani okanye i-revolver.
Angikaze nje ngiyazi revolve ukuthi isibhamu esikanjani revolve.
I have never known it before. What type of a firearm is a revolver?
Thank you. But now, this one, a distinctive feature of it looked like it had a wheel.
Kodwa ke lesi sibhamu sasibuya ngathi sinelo kunjani isonto lapho kulo.
Bese ngishilo ukuthi yes, ukusibuka wami ngasibuka ngaphambili.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I've already said that. Yes. And when I looked at it, I saw it from the front portion of it.
Thank you. Now, you gave a description of the second intruder, and you described him as the second intruder. You described him, actually I don't know whether it was a he or a she, but you described the second intruder as follows.
Manje uye waphana ngencazelo yalo umngeneli wesibili. Ukuthi ke umlisa noma owesifazane, kodwa ke na indlela ke uyisebenzisile ukuthi wena uphana ngesithombe esimalana ke nomngeneli wesibili.
You said you described him in terms of his height.
Akwazi ke uphana ngencazelo mayelana ke nobude bakhe.
You described him in terms of the beard that was trimmed around his lips and a little bit on his lower jaw. I mean, on his lower
Wamchaza ke
lip.
ngaleyo ndlela ke amadevule ayahamba ndela emlonyeni ewatrimile kanti ke namadetshana nje ayekhona khona la kule ndebe ngaphansi.
Yebo, but advocate ngimkhombile wathi awazi ukuthi is a she or he ngimkhombile advocate bukhona.
But advocate, I did point this person out. Why would you then say that you are not sure as to whether it is he or she? Right when you were present, I was able to point the person out.
No, look, I'm talking about a suspect as when you are seeing him at the scene, not what is transpiring here at court.
Ngikhuluma ngalokho kwenzakala la enkantolo. Ngikhuluma ngalokho njani ngomsolo lapha endaweni esigameko.
Okay.
All right.
So those are all the features through which you're saying you were able to identify him.
Izona impawu ke othi ukwazile ukuthi ungamkhomba ngazo.
Yes, besides impawu ngiyambona nje. Ngingachaza futhi lokho.
And besides those features, I could see him. I saw him before when he was in front of me.
Thank you. Now let us stretch this a bit. You know the trimming around, just before I go on, I see there's a trimming around your beard there. Would the trimming have been what you having there on you?
Singakayi kudeke ngoba sizoyilula nje lento. Ngiyabona ukuthi nawe ke utrimile nje lapho. Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Now, you would agree with me that the trimming is not a permanent feature. The little bit on the on the lower lip is also not a permanent feature. So,
ungavumelana nami ukuthi ukuthima kanjalo akushona into ke okanye uphawu uzohlala lukhona nje lingeke lisuke.
Yebo kuyiqiniso lokho.
Nalezi into leyincanyana nje ngaphansi kwalomthetho.
Yebo
Yes, it is indeed so.
now, let's assume, because you've just said those are some of the qualities that enabled you to identify the person that you say you saw as a second intruder. Assume those descriptive features are taken away. Would you still be in a position to identify him?
I guess it's again lezo impawu siyayisusa. Ngoba usushilo ke ukwazile ukumbona ngalezo impawu. I guess it's siyayisusa ke lezo impawu. Ungakhona ke ukuthi ulokumkhomba ukuthi uye lo.
Ngisho ngakunda imbungculi chiscope ngisangamkhomba.
Even if he could be shaving off his head or what we call the cheese coat, I can still point him out.
Thank you. Now, this incident happened in 2014, not so?
Les kama kwesenzeke ngo 2014 akunjalo.
Yebo kunjalo.
It is so.
To be precise, 26 October 2014.
26 October 2014.
Yebo.
Yes.
Now, again, when for the first time after 2014, did you see the person who you think could have been the person that you saw on the 26th of October 2014 being the second intruder?
Manje ke wambona nini emva kwesigaba nge 26 sika October 2014. Emva kwaleso sigaba nge 26 waphila wambona nini ukuthi yilo mlisa lo. Ngicabanga ukuthi uyena lo yana ke okwaku ngenele kwesibili ngalolo suku.
Ngambona ngosuku lokuqala ngizotestify la ecourt.
I saw him on the first day that I came to testify here in court again.
Do you still remember when was that?
Uyakhumbula ukuthi kwakunini?
Noma ngakhumbula usuku ukuthi wakunini, but ngambona uqala ukumbona ngambona la ecourt.
Even though I cannot remember the day, the exact date as to when was that, but the very first time or the first time that I saw him after that incident was right here in court.
You know, I would be assisting you if I knew the date and the year. Unfortunately, I don't know it.
Bengakusiza khona lapho uma ngabe bengazi date mhlawumbe nonyaka bengakusiza kodwa ngeshwa leyo mniningwane anginayo.
Yes. Siyafana noma nginayo.
Yes, even myself I don't have those details.
Now, on the basis of what you've just said, that you can't remember the date and probably the year, would you then agree with me that with the lapse of time, memory fades away?
Yabona ke ngenxa ukuthi awusakhumbuli imininingwane leyo ungavumelana nami ke ukuthi emva kwesikhathi ukukhumbula komuntu kuyasuleka engqondweni yakhe.
Ngeke ngachaza lokho ekuqaleni ngikuvumi lokho ezinye izinto ungayikhohlwa ezinye izinto awuzikhohlwa.
I won't agree with you. I won't really agree with you because certain things you can forget, but other things you can't forget them.
Mr. Madlala, don't be on the defensive. Is it not a natural thing that with the lapse of time, memory fades away?
Ungazami ukuyivikela. Akuyona ke into ejwayelekile nje ukuthi emva kwesikhathi esithize khona into eyithize oyikhohlwayo.
Yes, isikhona into ethizo oyikhohlwa ngiyakuvuma lokho.
Yes,
Kodwa le incident angimkhohlwa yena.
Yes, I agree with you that there are certain things that one can forget. But pertinent to this incident, that one I cannot forget.
Thank you. Let us try to revive our memories of when did you testify for the first time after this incident having taken place in 2014? Could that have been in 2020, this year, 2023?
When what was happening?
When he testified for the first time here at court after the incident. As his testimony.
Mawuzothola ubufakazi bakho khona la enkantolo singasho ukuthi uweza khona kulo nyaka 2023. isigameko senzeke ngo-2014 wena weza la enkantolo kokuqala ukuzothula bakho ubufakazi singasho yini ukuthi kulo nyaka u-2023
yes angiphindela futhi
futhi isigameko senzeke
nge-2014 yes
ke wena ke wase uza la enkantolo uzothula ubufakazi bakho
yes
ngabe ke mawuza okokuqala uzothula ubufakazi bakho la enkantolo beku kulo nyaka lo u-2023 no it wasn't 2023
More or less, when was that?
bekungaba nini
sikhulumile leyo nto ukuthi noma ngingasekho sure but kwakusuku lami lokuqala ngifikile la ecourt.
we did speak about that. So that even though I cannot remember the date, but it was my first day coming here at court.
Thank you. My Lord, I'm not so sure if the state can assist us with the first day on which you came to testify, because I don't want to keep on repeating the same thing when the state can actually come to our rescue in this point.
What does it change? Because he can't remember the date, but what he can remember is the factual fact, if I must be tautologist, that it was the first time he came to testify in this court.
Yes, my
That's
Lord.
what he says.
I don't dispute that, but I'm slowly but surely trying to drive to a certain point. Now, I don't want to put the cart before the horses, my Lord.
You must tell him the date, because he can't remember.
Which is the reason why I'm asking from the court, my Lord, whether will it be a train smash if I really request the state to assist us with that date.
Mr. Baloyi, what's your view?
We quickly checking that, it did appear it was September of 2022.
Thank you, madam. My colleague has just come to my and your rescue about the date.
Usesizileke lapha nomshushisi.
Sibonke.
Sesizile.
That is September 2022.
To September 2022.
That is September 2022.
September 2022. All right.
Now, would you also agree with me that it is a natural phenomenon that when years go by, a person loses certain traits in terms of their identification and characters?
Ungasho mhlawumbe ngokwemvelo kuyinjwayelo ke ukuthi emva kwesikhathi esithize umuntu ke alahlekelwe yindlela akwazi ukukhumbula noma ukubona izinto ngakhona okanye imikhuba akwaziyo ke ukubona izinto ngayo emva kwesikhathi lokho kuyashintsha uyakuvuma lokho
Angeke ngakuvuma, angeke ngakuphika futhi lokho.
I would not concur, neither will I dispute that as well.
Let me put it this way. Actually, this is what I meant to say. That as a person is growing, or as the years go by,
Ake ngibeka le ndlela umuntu ke ma ekhula noma kudlula iminyaka
it is a natural phenomenon that how they look 10 years ago will not be exactly the same on how they look after 10 years. Angazi ngibeke kanjani ngesilungu.
Imvelo isifundisa leyo nto leyo kanye isibonisa leyo nto leyo ukuthi umuntu ke uma ngabe ke esekhula ake sithi ukhula ngeminyaka ewu10 emva kweminyaka ewu10 akasafani nanenkathi engakabi naleyo minyaka eyongezwe ngeminyaka ewu10
As it is a court, my lord.
I don't know whether such a general statement is correct to put to witness to comment. We think it can best be left for argument, but if counsel can perhaps indicate what the basis of his proposition is so that this witness can be able to testify, but absent that, my lord, we submit that it's too general a statement for this witness to comment on.
Please, the court, my lord. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the question. What I'm trying to siphon from this witness is, it's not a natural thing that when a person is growing old, he basically will change. By Ashwaba, it's like a person changes from who they are. From 10 years ago, angazi ke silungibeke kanjani my lord.
Ngaleyo ndlela ke ukuthi emva kweminyaka u10 akasafanani ngendlela abukeka ngakhona emva kweminyaka u10 phambi kokuthi kundlule iminyaka ewu10 futhi umuntu ke njengoba esho ke futhi ke mhlambe kube nama wrinkles khona la ebusweni enjalo.
Now, I'm not specifically referring to what we have pointed to this court. It's just a natural thing. Does that not happen naturally?
Into eza ngokwemvelo, into ejwayelekile.
Ya ngiyakuvumela lapho but usamncane lo akudayikho into engashintsha mhlawumbe usenenyamele usamncane. Usamncane and that time
I agree with you.
that time benganawo nanomzimba manje sengiyabona ngathi that time ubusamncanyana futhi yes.
Thank you.
But akushintshi buso.
I agree with you. He's still very young. Not to such an extent that he would be hanging or baggy skins on his face or baggy skin on his face. Yes, I would want to perhaps concede to the fact that back then he was a little slimmer in terms of his physique. But right now he's gained a bit of weight. But nothing much has changed about him.
Ngiyakuvumela advocating lo kusho hayi ukuthi
On
ngiyaphikisa.
that very note, I agree with you. I don't dispute it.
You just mentioned in the same line, in the same sentence in your answer, that there's a change that is happening in this accused person, in accused number 2.
Usukushilo.
Then he was slim, now he's a bit chubby. Is that not a change?
Usukushilo ke na ukuthi ubezaqile ngalesa sikhathi okwamanje usotheke ukubamba umzimba. Akusilona ushintsho lo.
Angiphikisi ngabe njengoba sengisho ukuthi ngiyakuvumela.
Thank you.
I do not dispute that. As I've already indicated that I agree or I concur with you.
Thank you, sir. As it is the court, my lord, I think I've opened my notes on a very wrong page. Where are my spectacles? Oh. Thank you. You had told this court that you had come from Durban to Gauteng and you had an injury on your toe.
Watsha ningatholi kubona waqhamuka eDurban uze la eGoli kanti bulimele kulo boss.
100% right.
You are 100% correct.
Now, were you using 2 crutches or you used only 1 crutch?
Ubusebenzisa icrash lot or ama crash amabili.
Engasebenzisa umabili.
Both of the crutches were used by myself.
Thank you. Did you perhaps have a, now that's that weight, a plaster of Paris or a castor plaster? I see you laughing. I think you had it somewhere.
Buna ucement.
Yeah, bukhona la emnweni lo omkhulu onyawo. Then right around bekubanjwe la ukuthi kunganyakazi lo jikela unyawo kanje ujikeleza ubambe unyawo ukuthi kunganyakazi la. Yes.
Yeah, I had that plaster on that big toe,
Okay.
as well as the rest of the foot was to immobilize that very part of the foot so that the big toe should not be affected by movements.
Thank you. No, I hear you well. I hear you well.
Kuzwa kahle, kuzwa kahle.
Now let us try to revisit the scene in the house.
I guess buyele laphana ke endlini. I guess buyele endlini.
Now, according to your version, is that as the skirmishness, the wrangling in the house happened, you basically were fighting. I mean, when I say you, I mean personally yourself. You basically fought against the second intruder.
Ukutsho kanjalo khona lapha endlini uye walwisa lona umngeneli wesibini. Sengikhuluma ngawe.
Yebo kunjani?
Yes, it is so.
And Senzo as well, as the wrangling was happening in the kitchen, he also was holding the hand of the second intruder.
Kanti ke uSenzo ube bambeke isandla salomngeneli wesibini.
Yebo
Manje
kunjani?
kwenzakala leyo nto.
Yebo kunjani?
That is so.
And it is your testimony that it could have been by mistake that Zandi told this court that you picked up a crutch and hit the person that you attempted to hit with those crutches. In fact, you never used the crutches, you only used the clenched fist.
Uthi ke kwaba yiphutha ukuthi uZanda athi wena wathatha leyo crash washaya lo muntu. Kahle kahle ke azange uyisebenzise leyo crash wavela wamshaya nje ngesibhakela.
Yes, ngasebenzisa isibhakela kaze ngisebenzisa i-crutch.
Yes, I never used the crutch. I used the clenched fist.
So I assume that it didn't come to your mind that you should pick up the crutch and use it as a traditional weapon.
Azange kufikele lokho ke ukuthi uthathe le crash umshaya ngayo ngenjwayelo okanye ngendlela ke esijwayele ukwenza ngakhona ukuthi uyisebenzise njengesikhali.
Akungifikelanga.
It didn't cross my mind.
Thank you, sir. Now, at that moment when you and Senzo were fighting the second intruder, could you realize what was happening to the first intruder, the gentleman with a firearm, or the person, let's not call them gentlemen, the person who had a firearm?
Ngenkathi ke wena noSenzo niphe kwalo ummangali lo wesibini okanye lo umngeneleli lo umuntu owesibini owangenelela lapho singathi umlisi lo umngeneleli wabona ukuthi kwakwenzakalani ngalo owokuqala ngaleso sikhathi.
Angibonanga because babe ngala esayidini lami mina ngangila sibhekene nalo. So ngangizwa nje umsindo wezinto angibonanga.
No, I couldn't observe what was happening. They were just on my side, adjacent to me, behind me. And mine was to focus on this commotion that was in front of me.
Okay, thank you. Let me borrow from the process that is normally used by my colleagues to indicate exactly the points on the pictures where you were and everything. So you kindly beam us the kitchen. Don't be angry now. As it is the court matter, I'm just requesting my colleagues to beam us the inside of the kitchen. I don't know what, yeah, exactly. I think photo number 15 will do. Are you able to enlarge it? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, it's common cause, it can't be disputed that this is where a lot of the wrangling take place. Thank you.
Asiphikisani nalokho ukuthi futhi ke okuningi kokulwisana khona lapho bekwenzakala ngapha.
Yes.
That is correct.
Now, in relation to the situation in the kitchen, can you please indicate where was the second intruder standing as you and Senzo were busy fighting him?
Lona wesibini kuphi ngenkathi wena noSenzo nimlwisa.
Ubemla. La.
Okay.
Just right there.
Yeah.
There's a point between the door and as well as the cabinet that was pointed by the witness.
Thank you.
With the light, yeah.
Then, immediately, where was he facing? Was he facing towards the door or he had his back against the door?
Ubebheke emnyango mhlambe umhlane ubuqondene nomnyango.
Bebheke ngaphakathi endlini.
He was facing
Senzo
inside.
abhekile.
In other words, he had his back against the door.
Now, am I correct to understand it that Senzo was facing him? In other words, they were looking at each other face to face.
Kwethu ukuthi babe qondene nje yena noSenzo.
Yes.
That is correct.
And when you hit him with the clenched fist, I don't want to assume, where were you? Were you on his side? Were you behind Senzo when you hit
Ukuthi
him?
ke wena
Bengiseceleni kwasani Senzo bemla. Lo muntu bemla.
Yes.
Senzo ayabambana naye phambi kwami mina bengimla eceleni.
Oh, okay.
I was just alongside Senzo. That is where the person was
Eduze
standing
nje no yes.
against the door.
Yes.
And then in front of him was Senzo.
Yes.
Just next to Senzo, on the right-hand side of Senzo,
Yes.
it was myself.
Thank you. Now, I asked you a question to indicate as to where was the the first intruder, the Rastafarian, the person who had dreadlocked?
Uthi yena ubekulo wama-dreadlocks.
In relation to the kitchen, yes.
Asikho esinye isithombe esivela kakhulu bebe Samuel bona la.
Okay.
Samuela.
Isn't there another picture perhaps that has got a white
Bebe Samuela
picture?
emva. Yes.
There was somewhere there. The bottom of that picture, right at the bottom of that picture, at the
Yes.
center bottom,
Yes.
has just been pointed
Yes.
out.
Because ikhishi lakhona lincane.
Yeah.
It's a small,
Yes.
confining space, that kitchen.
So would I then be correct to understand you to say that the first intruder with dreadlocks was a bit behind you as you were fighting the second intruder with Senzo?
Shuthi wena noSenzo bandlusa lona wesibili lo wokuqala wama-dreadlocks ube ngasemvanyana kwakho.
Yebo kunjalo.
Yes, it is so.
And to be honest with you, unless you're going to tell this court that you had eyes that could see at the back as well, you could really not tell what was happening at your back.
Ubungeke usho ukuthi kwenzakala ngasemuva. Ngaphandle kokuthi mhlambe ke wena ubunamehlo nje ngasemhlanje. Kodwa ubungeke uwazi ukuthi kwenzakala ngasemuva.
Yebo ngengikwazi ukusho because kune movement so ngengikwazi ukusho but babe la emva kwami nje.
Yes, I cannot tell what was happening. Even though there were some movements, I cannot really tell what was happening.
Thank you, sir. Now, how long have you known Senzo up until the 26th of October 2014?
Ubusumazi isikhathi singakanani ke ukufika kuleyo date yange 26 October 2014?
Ayisithi isikhathi noma ngisiside kakhulu
It was a very long time.
because even umthoko simaze kamuva sino Senzo. Even
Very
noSenzo umaze kamuva yes.
It was a very long time that I've known Senzo.
Besamba
Even
isikole
Mtogo,
esisodwa.
we only knew him later on, myself and Senzo.
Thank you. Let us try to give an estimate, could have been more than 20 years.
20 years in Mhlambe?
Yes, more than yes.
More than 20 years, yes.
Thank you. Now, I'm going to request you to listen very carefully to the following.
Manje ulaleleke ulalelisise lokho engizokukhuluma.
The court, this court,
Uyayibona le nkantolo esikuyo manje.
has heard testimony from two people who were in the house that day, specifically Mthokozisi and Zandile.
Inkantolo ebuzile ubufakazi babantu ababili abebekhona laphana endlini. Kakhulukazi ke sesikhuluma ngaye lona ke uMthokozisi noZandile Khumalo.
Yeah, ngiyakuzwa.
I hear that.
Now, both of them had told the court that the wrangle in the kitchen between Senzo, the wrangle in the kitchen was between Senzo and the person who had dreadlocks.
Both labo bantu bathi ukubambana lokho okwakwenzeka ngasekhishini phakathi koSenzo nomunye ke wabangeneleli lo mngeneleli leyo intruder beku intruder yokuqala Shuti lo obena ma dreadlocks.
Do you understand that?
Uyazwisisa?
Ya ngiyezwa.
Yes, I hear that.
So would you still say that according to your observation, the tussle was between Senzo and the second intruder?
Usahleli khona lapho beunyawo phansi ukuthi uSenzo wabambana nolono wesibili umngeneleli wesibili usabe unyawo phansi lapho.
Ya ngabavumela kuloko. Ngabakuvumela ukuthi balwa nalowo babambisana nalowo okuqala because wena umuntu okuqala wavelela la eminyango.
I would agree with that there was some tussling that took place between Senzo and the first intruder, because
Yes.
he is, by the way, the first person to have appeared in the house in that particular spot.
Yes.
There I would agree with you.
Okay, thank you. Let me further explain it so that we are not in doubt with what I'm trying to say. They say the wrangle was between Senzo and the person who had a firearm, who had dreadlocks, up until the first shot went off.
Basho njalo ke bathi uSenzo wabambana nalona obephethe isibhamu obenama dreadlocks ufikela leso sikhathi ke kuxhuma isibhamu basho njalo about uthini ke ngalokho.
Ngizokuchaza ke lokho.
I will explain that.
Yabona umuntu mezoma lapha ngomnyango wakongenela edining.
So if a person comes and stands at the door that leads into the dining room or perhaps the lounge,
Angeke ujampele kulo wesibili ongakabonakala because mawula edining angeke ujampele kulo wesibili.
because if you are inside of the dining room, you are not going to be storming now to the second person that is not visible to your side.
Yes.
Kwamele aqale ngaye lo ukuthi kwaenda pha kanjani esebamba lo wesibili bephushelana kuze kufika ngasesicabheni angazi kwakwenzela kanjani konke lokho.
The initial tussle was with the first one.
Yes.
As to how he eventually got to have a tussle with the second person, I don't know how it happened. And then pinned him against the door there. I don't know how it came about.
And okunye makuqhuma isibhamu
Another thing.
siqhume sesilano senzo ngasemnyango.
When the firearm went off,
Yes.
myself and Senzo were by the door side.
Yes. Thank you. Let us park that one for just a second,
Ake siyibeke nje leyo kancane.
because I quickly want to attend to this other one as well.
Ngifuna ukungena kulena futhi.
You have said you have known Senzo for 20 years. Am I correct, therefore, to assume that having known Senzo for 20 years, there's no way in which you would have mistaken him for somebody else in the house?
Umaze 20 years uSenzo. Ngoba umaze isikhathi esingako, ubungeke wenza iphutha ukuthi uSenzo lo la endlini. Mhlambe ke kube ukuthi umfanisa nomunye umuntu lapha endlini. Okanye uyamshintsha umenza omunye umuntu khona lapha endlini.
Hayi ayikho leyo nto ebengeke yenzeke leyo.
No, there's nothing like that. It wouldn't have happened.
Thank you.
Such a thing would not have happened.
So if Senzo was embroiled in a tussle with either the first intruder or the second intruder, you would have been able to identify or to see that Senzo is now embroiled in a tussle with this particular intruder, not so.
Mangabe lona uSenzo bebambene nomngeneleli wokuqala lo wesibini ubuzokwazi ukubona lokho ukuthi nanguke uSenzo ubambene nalo wokuqala okanye ubambene nalo wesibini lokho buzokubona akunjalo
Kahle kakhulu.
clearly so.
Thank you. You were saying something about the entrance into the dining room and everything. Maybe just to get your explanation, to get a clearer picture of what you're trying to explain, may I request that probably the sketch plan be beamed?
khona okuthizwe ukukhuluma ngakho lapho dining room umnyango.
Yeah, akakusho advocate angathi khona because mangazi ukuthi akakusho nge-straight kimi ukuthi uthe.
Hayi,
That is
Maduna,
what you could have said. Perhaps you
awukahle
can say
Maduna.
that, advocate, that this is what I said.
Mr. Madlala,
Yes, advocate.
I don't want to say things that you could have said because I might not say them the way in which you said them. I want you to say them yourself. Do you understand?
Uyabuzwa lapho. Angifuni ukukhuluma izinto.
Ngiyakuzwa.
Thank you.
Ubungazi wena uzishilo. Ngifuna wena uyikhulumela. Hayi ukuthi mina ngithi ubuzwa ukuthi
Thank you.
wena uyikhulumela. I understand.
Now, can you please come again with that explanation that when a person is standing there, he could not have done this, he should have done that, and all those things?
Abegas?
I'm saying, may he kindly again come with that explanation of his, where he said a person from the dining room could have done this, or this might not have happened, you know, all those things. Those things that I don't want to repeat on his behalf.
Okay, khona izinto engikwazi ukuthi ngiyikhulume ngendlela okhulume ngakhona kodwa ke khona okushilo nje ukuthi umuntu e-dining room lokhuyana bekungenzeka lokuyana bekungeke kuyenzeke lezo zinto ezinjalo ke angikwazi ukuthi mhlawumbe ngingakhulumela.
Uyangilahla advocate. Just go straight to the point ukuthi uthi.
You're confusing.
Uyangiconfuse man.
You're confusing.
Because bengibuza omunye umuntu.
Go straight to the point. Just go straight to the point because there's another person that I was asking that.
There's another person who does what?
Uthi ububuza
Lokuthi bengikusho bengakusho kuwena.
whatever that you say that I was saying, I wasn't saying it to you.
So when an advocate issue straight ukusho kimi ukuthi uthe la nala nala then sikhulume phezulu kwaleyo nto.
Just say the exact words that I spoke. Refer to what I had said. That this is what I had said. This and that.
You say you want me to go straight to the point.
Yes, advocate, please.
Yebo, advocate. Ngiyacela.
Thank you. Mr. Madlala,
Yes.
I normally hear people saying, well, I don't know how far true is it, that there is no rush in South Africa. Rush is in Russia where they rush. So I don't know if that is applicable here. I don't want to rush you. As it is the court, my lord. I've said to you, there's a point that I would want us to park. I'll immediately come back to it. I'm back to that point.
Khona uyakhumbula khona lephuzo nje ake silibeka nanyani sophinde sibuyele kulo.
Yes, ngiyakhumbula.
Sesiyabuyela kulo ke manje.
Yes, that is what I want you to explain. There is something that you wanted to explain about the movement from the dining room into the kitchen and all those things. Can you please re-explain that?
Khona into
Repeat
No,
that.
let me start to the witness. The witness is correct. Put it to him that this is what he said when he was being cross-examined by Mr. Rapeleti, for instance. Now you're saying to him, there's something that you said that you went to the dining room or this or that or that. It can't be a question. Put it as he uttered it.
As it please the court, my lord. Let me try to paraphrase you.
awuthi ngeke ngizame kuyifinca le.
You said, as the tussle was happening from the dining room into the kitchen, Senzo was in commotion or was fighting the gentleman with or the person with the firearm, not so.
Okusho kanjalo ukuthi okusuka edining room kuya ngale ngase kitchen uSenzo ulwisana nalomlisa obephethe isibhamu.
Yes, uqala kwakhe nje ukusukuma uqale kulo. And engayedwa bekhona no Kelly no Zani.
The first time that he stood up, he accosted this particular person. He was not alone.
Yes,
He was with Kelly, Nozandi, and Zandi Kumar.
Yes.
thank you. Am I correct, Mr. Madlala, in saying that in your evidence, or I can't remember whether it was in evidence in chief or when you were being cross-examined, you said at the commencement of the tussle from the dining room, you actually were not a participant, you were seated down.
Usho kanjalo uma lokubamba nokuqala khona laphana edining room wena ubuyihlele phansi. Ilokho kushilo.
not exactly ukuthi bengihleli phansi.
Yeah.
Yena umuntu uqhamuke ngihleli phansi. After sekusukuma abantu benami emva kwaloko ngisukumile.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not exactly. When the person appeared,
Yes.
I was still seated. And the people then stood up, and they were the very first people to stand up and accost that particular person. And then I also stood up.
Thank you. But am I then correct if I understood you to mean that you got into the fray after approximately everybody was involved or got involved in the fray?
Shuthi wena uye kamuva emva kokuthi laba abanye bonke baye khona lapho ke bayolwisana nalo muntu.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Now, according to you, Senzo accosted the person with the firearm and pushed him into the kitchen,
So njalo ke ukuya
being
ngawe.
assisted by all those who were in the house.
uSenzo wambamba ke lona ke okanye waya kulona obephethe isibhamu emphusha ke kanjalo esizwa ke amanye amalungu abekhona ngalapha endlini.
Yes.
Yes.
Uqinisile.
That is true.
But then subsequent thereto, Senzo is now fighting the second intruder. And you also get into the fray of fighting against the second intruder by assisting Senzo to hit the second intruder with a clenched fist.
Emva kwalokho napho uSenzo uselwisa lona wesibili. Nawe uba ingxenye yokubambana kwaSenzo nalo wesibili.
Yes, intention yami kwakuphuma.
Yes.
And advocate angeke ngichaze yonke into ebeyenzakala each and every step because ngingachaza before.
Yes, my intention was to exit and further advocate. I cannot explain every little detail of what was transpiring in there.
Yes.
Because nginezathu zami advocate. Makwenzeka into kanje mawuthola usesimene sikanje. Ngeke ngachaza before ukuthi kulula komunye umuntu ukuthi athi hayibo kwenzeka kanjani ukuthi enye into ngalinganisela ngani.
Yes.
Ukutholileni eziyale imoto ziyale kodwa uyithola ukuthi isigingile yapha ngala wana ukuthi ibheke kanjani ngala. So ezinye izinto awuzazi zenzeka kanjani because wezenzeka fast. Yabo. And isimi ngikusona ngaleso sikhathi. Funa usunderstand now.
Because I had my own reasons. There are times when things are happening, and another person who was not a part of that predicament that you find yourself under would ask you questions. They would, ask you, how did this happen? How did that happen?
Yes.
Let me give you an example. For example, you are driving in this lane.
Yes.
All the cars are moving into that direction. All of a sudden, your vehicle is now turning and perhaps skidding around in the road and facing a different direction within the same lane. Now you ask yourself, how are you going to deal with that particular situation?
Thank you. I want to be very sincere and honest with you.
Yes.
That actually does happen.
Ngifuna ukusho
In
lokho,
human
lokho
nature,
kuyenzeka.
it does happen.
Kuyenzeka lokho.
Yabo.
Yes, thank you very much.
And you probably had read my mind because I would have asked you, how did you then Senzo let go of the first intruder and went into the second intruder?
Yabona ukungekwenza ukuthi uye wangifunda umthondo. Ngoba ngifuna ukusho ukuthi ukukubuza ukuthi uSenzo wayekela lokuqala nini okanye kanjani wangena kulo wesibili.
Mhlambe sicabanga ukufanele ngakho sibancane kanje.
Maybe we're thinking alike, and that is
Me
why
and you.
maybe we're thinking alike, and
Okay.
that is why the both of us are slimmer like that.
Aye.
Ngiyakuzwa
Okay, proceed.
yeah
No,
ungaqhubeka.
I hear you, advocate.
Oh,
You can
okay.
proceed. You
Yeah.
can proceed.
But you know the gist of the testimony that we got from Zandile and Mthokozo Sitwala is that from the dining room where you were seated up until the kitchen where finally the shot was heard, Senzo has at all material times been in tussle with the firearm person, although along the road or on their way to the kitchen, but tutulana lo wesibili.
Now, uthi ulokho njalo ngayicacisa lethu ukuthi okulona daba olukhulu khona lana ukuthi usenzo sonke lesikhathi okuqhamuka kulobufakazi balabo bufakazi ababili ube loke ebambene nalona obephethe isibhamu ukufika ke ukusuka ngase-dining room ukufika ngase-kitchen mhlambe ke kwaze kwafika naleso sikhathi la befike khona bebambana nalowo wesibili.
Mr. Miss indlela ayicabanga ngakhona leyo nto uyayisho kimi.
Is it how you perceive this whole thing, or is it are you putting it to me? Is it your perception about what transpired there, or are you actually putting it to me?
I'm telling you what this court has heard from Thokozisi and Zandi.
Ngikutshela ngalokho inkantolo yakuzwa okwakuthulwa ke njengobufakazi la enkantolo umthokozisi noZandi.
Do you understand?
Ukuthi sonke ke lesikhathi usenzo beloko elwisana nalomlisa obephethe isibhamu.
That's not true.
That is not true.
Njengoba ngisho ukuthi masiqhuma isibhamu besinawo senzo la ngasemnyama.
As I have already said that when the firearm went off, I was together with Senzo there by the door.
Yes.
Ukuthi ke icourt awuyisho into oyicabangayo wena. Yabo icourt ngeke uyisho into oyicabangayo. So engikusho ukuthi isiqhuma nje isibhamu ukuqala besilana usenzo naye ngasemnyama.
Now it's that a person cannot really express what they are thinking before this honorable court. But what I am trying to explain to this honorable court is that when the firearm went off, I was together with Senzo there by the door,
Na lo muntu omude.
including that intruder.
Now the second intruder.
Sikhuluma ngalo wesibili.
Yes.
That's correct, yes.
We are together there. That is what you're saying.
Sisonke ke lapho yilokho
Yes.
kushoyo.
Yes.
Yes.
But on the other hand, two people who were in the house, in the same house in which you were, who witnessed the same incident that you witnessed, have come and told this court that as and when the shot went off, Senzo was in tussle with the firearm guy.
Yabona ke ilokho wena ukubonile. Khona laba bawu2 abebekhona nabo lapha yana endlini. Bathi ke nabo babonile lokho kubonile kodwa ke bona bathi mabathula ubufakazi babo. Bathi isibhamu uma siqhuma usenzo ube lokho ebambene nalomlisa ke bephethe isibhamu.
So you're saying they saw something wrong?
Usho ukuthi manje lokho abakubonile iphutha.
No ukuthi ngiyaconfuseka. Into edala ukuthi ngiconfuseke.
I get confused, and this is the reason why I get to be confused.
Into edala ukuthi ngiconfuseke.
Yes.
If basho njalo angengeni kakhulu into nabayishilo since ungibuza ngazo if basho njalo bona if bethu senzo bebhizi nalo isibhamu. Bona bebhizi nobani.
Now, I am not going to dispute what they are actually saying. If they say that Senzo has been busy or tussling with this particular person that was in possession of the firearm, who were they busy with in the first place while that was happening?
And Mr. Mnisi lo ngitshela kona kuyikona.
Yes.
And Mr. Mnisi, whatever that I'm telling you
Yes.
is the truth. That's how things happened.
Be rest assured, Mr. Madlala, I am not saying that you're not being honest, you're not being dishonest with this court, and I'm not saying that they've been dishonest with the court, which is the reason why we're trying to probe.
Angikusho ke lokho ukuthi wena ke awuthembakali la phambi kwenkantolo. Futhi angikusho ukuthi nabo abazange bathembeke la enkantolo. Ingani lokho ke siloko sizama ke ukuyihlaziya ke lento.
Indeed, the fact that you're just mentioning that you're getting confused. Everybody is confused. The court is confused. I'm confused. Colleague for the state is confused.
I'm not confused.
May I withdraw with the greatest respect the very first portion of the confusion thing. I mean, I am confused. You are, in fact, let me start with you. You've just said you are confused. It's true. You are confused. I am confused. My colleagues seem to be in 6s and 7s. My colleague for the state seems to be 9 and 10s about confusion. This is the reason why we're requesting you to unconfuse us. Is it you who's telling the truth in terms of your observation, or they could be mistaken? You know, mistakes do happen in the process of observation, not so.
Yabona ngititekile, utitekile, nalaba engisebenza kanye nabo. Abana assistance, mangibheka nangapha kumshushisi naye. Ngicabangeke ukuthi unayo leyo nto leyo ukuthi kuqamile kuye. Akuzameke ukuthi usikhiphe kulolu bishi lokudideka.
Yes.
Mr. Mnisi, mangabuza kahle, ngengezwe ngestatement sakhe ukuthi wayebona through iwindi kunomuntu owayeqoka isikiphe esimhlophe.
Now, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes.
I heard the statement from Kaya
Yes.
that there is a person that was standing at the window with a white T-shirt.
Yes.
So wayezombona kanjani umuntu engekho la eduze kwesicapha kuma ngithi mina first intruder ibisemva kwakhe. Kwamele ayibone mayilepha wayibona kanjani usenzo la wayifunani la ngasefastereni.
Now, he wouldn't have noticed or perhaps witnessed that
Yes.
if indeed the intruder was not on the door side. And what was Senzo doing there at the window if there was no one also that was from behind me?
Because lokhaya uthi wabona umuntu onesikiphe esimhlophe la ewindini.
No, because Kaya said that he saw a person with a white T-shirt at the window.
Yes.
Nginamanga.
Am I lying?
I thought you were trying to unconfuse us.
Now,
Now, you're taking us from the...
So ekuchaza khona ukuthi
Understand.
lokho engisho ukuthi besilana lo muntu ngasefestereni ngasemnyango kuyiqiniso.
Yeah.
That is why nokhaya abone.
That actually means that the fact that we were on the door side, close to the
Yes.
window there,
Yes.
it is the truth.
Yes.
Which is the reason why also Kaya could see the same thing.
Mr. Madlala,
Yes, Mr.
I
Nis.
thought when you started to proffer that explanation, or to give that explanation, you were responding to my request that you should unconfuse us. But what you just did, you took us from the frying pan into the fire. You took us to the deepest end. We were further confused.
Uzozama-ke ukwenza ukuthi kugqame la kithini kodwa-ke akubuya ngathi ukuthi manje ususifake-ke ebumnyameni bokugcina-ke manje.
The witness is giving an explanation. How can it be said that it's confusing? If my learned friend has got an issue with that, he can raise it in argument.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you. Mr. Kaya,
Tumelo Madlala.
Tumelo Madlala.
Mr. Madlala, I'm sorry, sir.
Someone is confused.
Mr. Madlala,
Yeah, Mr. Nis.
thank you.
Yes, Mr.
Would you then agree with me that what you have just said, you have said, and what Thokozisi and Zandi have said, they're not the same, they're different.
Uyakuvuma lokho ukuthi okwakhulunywa-ke uMthokozisi noZandi nalokho wena okukhulumayo akufani.
Statement zaba ngaze ngayifunda everything ngizwa la ecourt. So angaze ngayifunda. Wonke umuntu la wenza statement sakhe.
I've never read their statements. I only heard about their statements right here in court. Every person is concerned with their own statements.
Yes, that is exactly what I'm saying. That which they have told to this court, and that which you have told to this court, not the same.
Yilokho engikushoyo. Lokho abakutshela inkantolo nalokho wena ukutshela inkantolo akufani.
Akusiwo umsebenzi wami ukubona lokho. Okwakho Mr. Nis, I think ukubuza mina ngesami esiqondene nami. So mase songena kakhulu kwezabanye abantu angeke ngikwazi ukuchaza ngazo kakhulu. Ngizochaza ngale kubhalwe yimi kwasayinelwa yimi.
I won't be able to explain the contrast of the statements.
Yes.
That should not be coming to me.
Yes.
Mine is to just give my statement based on what I have said.
Yes. Now, on the basis of this glaring contradiction, would it not have been a dreadful error of a mistaken identity on your part that the person who you saw being in tussle with Senzo, wherein you came to assist, was accused number 2?
Awucabanga ukuthi wenze iphutha elikhulu kakhulu mayelana ke nalomlisa obe bambene naye uSenzo la wena uye wangena khona waba ingcenye lo wabamba iqhaza. Awucabanga ukuthi wenze iphutha ukuthi uthi ummangalelo wesibili?
Ngizange ngilenze iphutha mthenisi and soze ngalenza iphutha ngale ndoda le. Njengoba ngikusho lokho ngikhuluma ngento engayibona soze ngisukele umunye umuntu nje for nothing.
Never make a mistake, and I will never make a mistake, Mr. Mnisi. I will never just go and point a person who's not the real culprit. This is the person. I have never made that mistake.
Without laboring on this point, Mr. Madlala, Zandi and Tumelo said, as and when
Zandi and me?
Mthokozisi. I'm sorry. When Zandi and Mthokozisi told this court that as and when the shot went off, the person that Senzo was fighting with was the person who had dreadlocks, as against the fact that you are saying as and when the shot went off, the person that Senzo was fighting with was the second suspect.
Yabona uZandi noMthokozisi bathi ngenkathi iqhuma isibhamu uSenzo ubelwisana nalomlisa obe nama dreadlocks. Kanti lokho kuyagcubuzana nalokho wena ukushoyo ukuthi uma kuxhuma isibhamu uSenzo ubambene nalomlisa esithi ke umsola wesibili.
Do you understand?
Ngiyakuzwa lokho ngeke ngikhulume ngakho kakhulu lokho kwecourt ukuthi kujudge mina ngithulela ufakazi bami Tumelo Madlala.
I cannot delve much into that. That should be left in the hands of the court to decide.
Thank you.
I am merely presenting the evidence that has to do with me.
Thank you.
Tumelo Madlala.
Now, on the basis of that analogy and on that contradiction, I'm putting it to you that you had made a terrible mistake in your identification of the person who Senzo was in tussle with as and when the firearm went off.
Ngenxa yokugqubuzana ke kwalobo bufakazi bakho bufakazi balabo bufakazi ababili ngithi ke ngibeka kuwe ukuthi wenze iphutha ukuthi umuntu obekade ebambene noSenzo umsolwa wesibili ngenkathi kuxhuma isibhamu kanti ke akusiyena umsolwa wesibili ngoba ke labayana bathe umsolwa wokuqala manje wena kuwenza iphutha ngibeka kuwe uthini ngalo
Ithi ngitshele
Mr. Ramuse, please represent the accused number 2. I don't know on what basis is counsel now making the submission. Has he got instructions to to that effect?
As it is the court, my lord.
I'm listening.
Thank you, my lord. My lord, it is immaterial whether I'm here on behalf of accused number 3, or on behalf of number 4, or on behalf of number 5. But in circumstances where I realize, or it is realized, actually not only me, but my colleagues here at large, that there's an aspect that needs to be brought to the attention of the court, which ultimately is going to assist the court to come to a just and an equitable finding. I will be doing a very grave injustice, my lord, to keep that under my armpit.
Okay, I hear you.
Because at another level, my lord, my integrity as an officer of this court will be called to question. And I don't want the thing to happen to me now. Thank you, my lord.
Ake silungise lento yephutha Mr. Mnisi.
Asilungise.
Mawuthi ngenza iphutha.
Yeah.
Angenzange iphutha.
Let's fix this mistake that you're referring to, that I committed an error there. I did not commit any error.
Yes.
By pointing lo ngiyakutshela namanje ngisangampointa na after 20 years. Angenzange iphutha ngento ubulungiswa lapho.
You see, when I pointed this one off,
Yes.
by me pointing at this person,
Yes.
I did not commit any error.
Yes.
And I'm saying that even after 20 years,
Yes.
I will still point him out.
Yes.
That is not commission of error.
Yes.
That is called justice.
Something is pulling me.
Akusebenza into. Ungawari Mr. Mnisi nesikhathi sonke kodwa ushoyo.
Don't worry, Mr. Mnisi. We've got all the time here. That is what you said.
Thank you. Mr. Madlala, I see you very adamant that even after 20 years, I've just mentioned to you that with years and age, people lose who they are with a lapse of time.
Ngiyabona ukuthi unokuzethemba kodwa lapho uyasho futhi uyagcizelela ukuthi nangemva kweminyaka ewu-20 ngibeka kuwe-ke abantu isikhathi basibele sendlula ke ukhona lokho ukuthi balahlekelwe amandla wabo ukukhumbula.
Finally, my parting shot is, in as much as you strongly believe that it could have been the second suspect that you saw on that day, you believe might have led you to make a grave error of a mistaken identity.
Yabona phezu kokuthi ke wena unaloko wezethemba okumayelana ke uyakholelwa ekutheni umangalelwa wesibili wenze lento lena. Lokho ke kungahle kwenzeka ukuthi wena wenza iphutha okuyilona iphutha elikhulu kakhulu uma uthi umangalelwa wesibili.
Lokho kubona Mr. Mnisi lokho kubona mhlambe kumina yazi ukuboniswa yini ave kumnandi ukukhuluma into yaziyo akufani umuntu okhuluma into angayazi.
You know it's
Let's why ngimfuthu nje.
the energy that I actually have, it is so good. It feels good because now I'm talking about a person that I know. It's unlike talking about a person that you don't know. That's why you see me with this energy.
Thank you. I say that was my parting shot.
Yes.
A mistaken belief on the identity of a person. That will be my parting shot. Thank you, Madam. I've got no further questions.
Thank you. What's the time, Mr. Baduri?
It's 14 minutes past 3, my lord.
Mr. Numan, are you going to ask one or two questions? No. Hello? No. Oh, are you going to be long?
Yes, I will do more.
Okay, so we are there until when?
Tomorrow, my
You want to success. You want to success
I told you he's confused. Thursday, okay.